What's up, YouTube? It's the Action Figure Grader coming back to you with a look at the vintage collection. And as you saw in my last video, it seems like prices were down. And every one of you that collects the vintage collection, you all said that, look, my wallet can't take it anymore. My credit cards can't take it anymore. There's been too many new releases here over the last month or two, and nobody's looking on eBay. And I would say that that's probably the case, because I went to look and put together a list of interesting sales for this video, and there's not much out there. There really isn't. Other than some of the new releases, which we'll cover at the end of this video, there hasn't been a lot that's sold that I found particularly interesting, or that you guys would find particularly interesting. So, you know, with the Jabba's Throne Room, you had the 2 4-packs that just came out. You had the N1 Starfighter. That's just off the top of my head, plus the Ghost funding. So I think that people are just kind of worn out right now in terms of going back and looking at reissue, or looking at older TVC 1.0 or other kind of holes in their collection on eBay. And so we might be like that for a little while. I mean, you know, we got the holidays approaching and all of the expenses associated with it. But I did have a couple of folks reach out and say, hey, what's the Lost Line doing? If you guys remember the Lost Line from, you know, that SDCC pack with Jar Jar and Carbonite, what are the other cards doing other than Jar Jar? So I did put together a couple of data points that are recent for those. And then I got some of the recent releases as well at the end of this video. But in general, it's like crickets on eBay right now for the vintage collection. I thought this one was worth showing you. So this is Wave 5.5 from 2011. This was a sealed Hasbro shipper box from Entertainment Earth. And this seller had 2 of these available at $750, and they both sold very, very quickly. And what's the significance of this? Well, this is the Wave 8 Revision 1 case. And so it's got R2-D2 with the drink tray. It looks like it's got Tebow, Stormtrooper, Vader. I would assume that's Vader Emperor's Wrath. It's got Slave Leia, TIE Fighter, Pilot, Yoda. You know, it's got a number of pretty pricey TVC 1.0, namely the Slave Leia, right? That's the big one. I would assume it's Slave Leia and maybe Vader Emperor's Wrath. It may not be. I can't remember, because VC 64 was Leia, so you know, Emperor's Wrath was what, VC 113 or something like that. So it's probably not Vader Emperor's Wrath. It's probably a different Vader, maybe the ESB Vader, something like that. But obviously the Fett as well is in there, so a clone trooper. So it's a pretty big and pretty sought after TVC 1.0, and to get those in a sealed case like this, it's pretty hard to find these days. Somebody probably had it sitting in their closet, and they made a pretty good investment. So this seller had 2 of them, and they both sold immediately for $750. I would assume whoever bought these is going to send those straight to AFA for uncirculated grading and probably do pretty well with it. So $750 for a 12-pack of TVC 1.0 figures, get them graded, and then hopefully that Slave Leia comes back with a good grade. So interesting sale there, and there were 2 of them. Some early TVC 1.0, we've got a General Grievous. This one was a punched example on the US card, 110 bucks. You know, I feel like I'm falling back on some of the old standby characters, but there really hasn't been much that's sold other than some of these standby characters. But punched example, 110. I found a couple of unpunched examples that sold anywhere from 125 to 175 here recently for VC 17 General Grievous. Here was the foil card back for Clone Commander Cody, probably still one of my favorites out there. I don't know what it is, but the foil Clone Commander Cody just really pops for me. That one sold for $125. I thought that was a pretty good deal. You could argue maybe it's got a couple of light edge wear issues, but I don't see much wrong with it. And pretty great price on that, $125, free shipping for the foil Clone Commander Cody. Aura Singh, this one sold in an auction, only 1 bid, 80 bucks. And it looked pretty clean. It was an unpunched US card. So that's another one that seems to kind of holding its own. And I don't know if it's because people don't think it's ever going to get reissued, so they're safe to buy it or what. But it seems like it's been a while now that Aura Singh's been hovering right around that $70 to $90 price point, and it's kind of held up pretty well despite the general kind of flattening of TVC prices. And, you know, on the opposite end of the spectrum, just to digress for a little while, what I've seen with the vintage Kenner stuff, you know, very high-grade stuff or very rare, loose-graded, whatever, I've seen an uptick in prices. I mean, I'm going to cover it in a video next week where I bid last night on 6 or 7 different loose graded figures on eBay, both UKG and AFA graded, and I lost every one of them except for one. And I just kept going right down the list. I was like, well, I didn't spend any money there, so I'm going to spend again. And I kept losing. I finished second place on a number of them, and I overbid on several. I mean, I'm talking overbid by 20 to 30% on some of these. So there's definitely been an uptick in prices for vintage Star Wars items that are high grade or rare or whatever, you know, crazy variants. And I attribute it to Ahsoka. I mean, there's definitely been an Ahsoka effect as it relates to vintage Kenner items. I have not seen that with the vintage collection. And again, it could be tied to the fact there's just been so many new releases over the last 2 months. Star Killer, Vader's Apprentice, unpunched US card, the original issue. This one sold for $75, so this one continues to kind of have a downfall in price after the reissue. eBay is acting really weird, so some of these photos are just not popping up the way I'd like them to. I don't know if it's my internet or what, but it's been like this all day for me, and it's driving me crazy. But this one looked to be pretty good. It wasn't perfect. It had a couple of like edgeware issues and things, scratches, things like that. But $75, $10 shipping on Star Killer. And I mean, I remember once upon a time, it was like $200 plus for this guy, ungraded. So it's amazing how the reissue phenomenon really does affect TVC 1.0. Shock Trooper, this is one that's kind of held up pretty well. Obviously, a fairly outdated figure mold, but great looking card back. I love this one. I've got this, I think, on the Canadian card back punched. This was an unpunched US card. This one sold over in France for 90 euros, which is 95 US dollars. That's held its own pretty well. I mean, I went back and looked at a video where I had this on the thumbnail from like 6 months ago, and it was about $100. So this one has not dropped at all, and a pretty clean example of the Shock Trooper that sold again for 95 US dollars. Speaking of the Lost Line, so I had several of you say, hey, what's going on with the Lost Line mint on cards, not the Jar Jar and Carbonite that was packed in with it in that SDCC set? So I found 2 different data points where the seller was selling all 6 of them together. They all look pretty good. I mean, you know, who knows how super clean they are, but these were all punched examples, and I don't know if they came unpunched or not. Yeah, so they did come unpunched, apparently. But these were all punched examples. This one was up in Canada. It was listed for 520 Canadian dollars, and it sold for 450 Canadian dollars. And I did the conversion on that. It was 330 US dollars for all 6 of those punched examples, mint on card, in good shape, plus $20 shipping. And then this one, you know, these had price stickers on them. So I don't know, were they ever issued in retail? Or was this kind of an after the fact? But, you know, it's $12.50. That's probably pretty close to retail. But I don't remember. I thought these were only SDCC pack-ins. So I don't know. I can't remember. But these 6 were very clean, unpunched. But they did have the price stickers on there. So factor that in. And these were in the U.S. They were listed for 420 US dollars. And the best offer accepted on that was $400. Now, you know, I've read that you can use like a butane lighter fluid or whatever and get those stickers off, but just keep that in mind. So the other ones sold for $330. They were punched examples, no price stickers. These were unpunched with little price stickers that sold for $400. So there you go. I did have a couple of requests on those, so I just want to make sure to cover those. Next up, this is an interesting sale. This was a mint in sealed box, still in the shipper case, sail barge. The Katana, HasLab, we all know how expensive it is. Now, Chris over at Rogue 5 Toys had one of these, and it was still sealed, I believe, in the shipper box. He sold his for $1,500 plus actual shipping costs. Who knows what it costs? I would guess pretty expensive. But this one sold for $1,900 plus $200 shipping. So that's pretty crazy. Now, in all fairness, Chris's prices on Rogue 5 Toys have been below market or below eBay prices when possible. And in this case, it was snapped up immediately. And just kind of an interesting data point, though. So somebody got a good deal on it. This box has seen better days, too, so who knows what the inside of that box looks like. But $1,900 plus $200 shipping, so $2,100 from California versus $1,500 plus actual shipping on Rogue 5 Toys. So somebody got a good deal on that one. Speaking of the HasLab Katana, here was the pack-in. This is the yak face on the Power of the Force style card. And it was a 9.0 grade, so HasLab exclusive, dull coin. So apparently there is 2 different coin variations, which I did not know or I forgot. But there are 2 different coin variations for this HasLab pack-in, the doll coin and a shiny coin. This one's marked as HasLab exclusive doll coin AFA 9.0. And this one was sold by Power Droid again. He always seems to manage to get a lot of very high-grade TVC. And this one was listed and sold for $500 plus $19 shipping. That was a pretty clean example, though. It didn't look like it had that kind of weird indentation on the card or scratch on the card like some of them do have. So that was a nice-looking example. Here was a CAS 90 grade Princess Leia Organa Yavin, but this is the error with the VC 164 on the back. So the correct one, I can't remember what number it is, VC 150 or something like that. VC 164 is Cara Dune. Well, some of them did make it out of the shop or out of the factory at VC 164. So you can see on the back there, it's labeled VC 164. And it's appropriately labeled as such by CAS. First release error, VC 164, CAS 90. That one sold for $170 plus $17 shipping. That's down a little bit. I saw one last year that was also a CAS 90 that sold for $250. So that's down just a little bit, but it's kind of an interesting error for those of you that are into that stuff. Next up here is that loose graded Mandalorian Razor Crest pack-in figure that was loose graded by CAS. It was a CAS 90, and I put this in my what to buy video, but folks, I did not think this price was going to get anywhere near this. I was expecting like $150, maybe $200 at the very top end. But it is custom encased, and you know, instead of waiting 9 months or however long it takes for CAS to do these kinds of pieces, somebody paid up for it. They paid $305 plus $17 shipping. That's in an auction, 32 bids on that. So I did not mean for you guys to bid it up to $300, but apparently somebody really wanted that one. That was a big price. I did not expect it to go for that much, but it's a cool item. But I mean, to me, you can take your existing one and send it in to CAS and probably do it for a total cost of, you know, I don't know what they charge to grade this, but it can't be anywhere near $300. So that seems like a lot of money, but you know, it is what it is. People don't want to wait, you know, because it's a long process for some of these items. Next up, you know, speaking of the Mandalorian, here's his N1 Starfighter. Obviously, these are hitting eBay resales pretty regularly now. This one sold over in the UK for 141 pounds, which is 172 US dollars, and that's about the going rate here in the US. $150 to $200 right now, plus shipping, is about the going rate for the N1 Starfighter. And likewise, his pack-in unpunched Mandalorian on the N1 Starfighter name pill card back, that one sold for $78 plus $15 shipping. So you can account for about, you know, $80 to $90 for just the figure out of the package if it's super clean. And this one was very, very clean. No scratches on the card that I could tell. And so you're going to pay a little bit up for that one, but $78 plus $15 shipping. The Fat Bib Fortuna continues to resell on eBay, and the prices have come back down to reality a little bit. This one sold for $76 plus $8.15 shipping. And remember when these were first hitting people's hands, this Bib Fortuna Tatooine was selling for $120 or more. It was crazy. But it's finally coming back down to reality. That one sold for $76 plus $8.15. This one sold here in the US for $83 plus $8.40 shipping. So this is one you got to be careful on because it does get scratches by the 4+ symbol, kind of like the Antok Merrick from the Rogue One Starfighter pack-in. They can get that scratch on the card. So just make sure you bid accordingly for the condition that it's in. But that one did sell. So $75 to $85 plus shipping is about the going rate right now. Here's the other kind of new 4-pack. This is the Jabba's Denizens 4-pack, Return of the Jedi 40th anniversary. This 4-pack, this one sold for $150 free shipping. And then another one sold for $200 free shipping. So I don't know. To me, that's crazy to spend that much, but the back of the box is amazing. That is amazing artwork on the back of that box. So I understand the appeal, but don't pay $200 for it. You're going to be able to get it for, I would bet if you wait 3 to 4 months, you'll be able to pick this up for $100 to $120 max. But that's just my personal opinion on that. But anyway, $150 to $200 is the going rate on resale items right now, just given how hard it is to find. But there will be plenty for sale on eBay. I promise you that. Finally, just the Velkin Taziri from that 4-pack sold for $75 free shipping. So just kind of crazy to see how one individual card in here can sell for $75. and you can get the entire 4-pack for $150. But and that's right now. I mean, I think if you wait 3 or 4 months, this is going to be a lot less. So anyway, again, there's not much interesting information out there on eBay right now for the vintage collection, just because nobody's buying. Everyone's pocketbooks are saying, mercy, no more, no mas. They're waving the white flag. We need a break. And that appears to be the case in terms of TVC 1.0 and 2.0 resales right now on eBay. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll be back soon.